What if I told you I'm alone in the dark, and I'm not afraid of ghosts? It sounds like a crazy challenge, right? Most people would say I'm insane. Nearly half of all adults admit to feeling uneasy in complete darkness. But me? I always thought I was different, until last night. In the pitch-black basement of an abandoned church, I learned how very wrong I had been. I became a ghost hunter by hobby, not by blood. I spend weekends online reading old legends and haunted anecdotes, then driving out to abandoned places that local kids whisper about. The adrenaline rush of pushing open a creaking door and stepping into the unknown, there's nothing else like it. Most ghost hunters go in teams for safety. They always say, don't do this alone, warning of people losing their minds or disappearing forever when they push it too far. Before last night, fear was something I enjoyed chasing. After last night, fear is something that feels like it's chasing me. Adding ghosts into the mix just amplifies that fear. The idea of standing in a dark place with someone I can see is more intoxicating and terrifying. I will warn you about going. My friend Sam used to laugh nervously when I told him where I was going. A floorboard creaks at midnight, and it feels 10 times louder when you're alone, he'd say. He meant well. Being alone strips away the safety net. There's no one to laugh off your own shadow, no one to call for help if something goes wrong. When you stand in a cemetery at midnight or wander the halls of an abandoned hospital by yourself, every sigh of wind and distant murmur feels personal. That vulnerability, that sharpening of every sense in total darkness, was exactly what drew me in. I told myself I was fine, that I could turn on the light anytime. I treated these nights like challenges, proof I wasn't one of the men who slid into the light. Looking back now, I see it clearly, that was my first mistake. I was treating fear like a game. It started with a dare. Last October, on a frigid autumn night with only a sliver of moon overhead, I drove out to Hawthorne Farmstead, an old farmhouse abandoned since the 1920s, rumored to have been the site of a grisly unsolved murder. The lane leading in was just gravel, weeds growing between the cracks. I had texted my friend Sam an hour earlier, starting the countdown. Going in. He replied with a thumbs-up emoji and you're nuts. Be safe. I laughed it off and pulled up to the house. The place was deathly quiet, except for the wind whistling through broken windows. I needed to disable the car alarm, and realized I hadn't turned off my engine, rookie mistake. Finally done, I grabbed my flashlight, a digital voice recorder, an EMF meter, and approached the weather-beaten front door. When I flicked the lock, it groaned open on rusty hinges. Inside, the smell hit me first, melted in rock mixed with something oddly sweet like old soap. My flashlight's beam danced across peeling wallpaper and cracked floorboards. Every step made the old wood groan. I whispered into the recorder, "Hello? Is anyone here?" The silence that answered was so thick I could almost feel it pressing against my face. Only my breath echoed back. Then, crackling through static, came a voice, low and urgent, "Get out." My heart slammed against my ribs. I spun around, flashlight and recorder in hand. The recorder screamed into no battery. My light revealed only empty darkness behind me, and, for a moment, I was sure I saw a tall shape flicker at the hallway's end. I choked out a laugh. Of course, I told myself. There must be a logical reason. Shaking, I forced myself to press on. Upstairs, I discovered a child's bedroom frozen in time. The wallpaper was stained and torn, but scrawled on it in crayon were letters, Eleanor. My breath caught. Who had written that? I set up my camera to record and, almost out of habit, asked gently, "Are you here with me?" For a moment, still nothing was said. The recorder on the floor captured every sound, my tapping foot, my quickened breathing, until I finally decided to leave. Then I felt it, a cold breeze on the back of my neck, like icy fingertips. I ducked instinctively, shining my flashlight into the corner behind me. There was nothing there, only shadows. A whisper, so soft I could have mistaken it for the wind, "Don't go." I screamed, not in surprise, but in terror, and bolted down the stairs. My flashlight clattered as I raced through the open door. Only when I was safe in my car, gripping the steering wheel, did I finally exhale. That night, I drove home with wide eyes and no radio. I kept replaying what I heard. My hand was trembling so hard I could barely drive. Sam texted me, "You okay?" I didn't reply. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house sounded like footsteps. Looking back, I know I should have called it off then. I posted about it anonymously on a ghost forum, and people either told me to calm down or insisted I was onto something. I wanted to believe it was just adrenaline. But something had changed in me that night. Fear, I realized, can sneak in when you're not looking, and it had. A few weeks later, just before Christmas, I found myself at Rosedale Cemetery. It was a chilly December evening, the kind where mist hugs every gravestone. I parked by the old chapel and walked down a lane between ancient tombs. Each step crunched on frost-covered grass. The air smelled of earth and pine, and the sky was clear, stars faintly pricking the night. This place felt like a cathedral of the dead. I set my recorder on a flat stone in a quiet corner and stepped back. Gently, I called out, "I promise I'm not here to scare anyone. If you're here, just say something." For a moment, only my breathing and the distant hoot of an owl answered. Then, suddenly, the recorder crackled to life. A voice emerged, aged, strained, almost like gravel being ground. "Leave." The word boomed through the speaker. My breath caught in my throat. I spun around, beam tracing every tombstone. Nothing but silence and old stones. "Who's there?" I stammered out loud. No response, except the creak of an ancient gate swinging somewhere in the distance. The EMF meter I was holding went wild, red lights flashing like a warning. I could feel the temperature drop around me. That's when it spoke again, closer this time, softer, steadier. A shiver ran up my spine. I had to fight the urge to bolt. I backed away, hands high, stuttering, "Okay. I'll leave. I'm leaving." But the voice wasn't satisfied. Amid the frantic crackle on the tape, a breathy sob emerged. "Please, help me." I didn't wait another moment. I sprinted back to my car, scrambling over a gravestone. Inside, I locked the doors and collapsed into the seat. My chest heaved. On the recorder's playback, that muffled voice of despair was unmistakable. It haunted me. That night, when I finally fell asleep, I dreamed of being buried alive. Every cough and distant bell toll made me jolt awake. I knew then the cemetery had given me something real. A month later in January, I drove out to St. Agnes School, an old Catholic schoolhouse closed since the 1950s after a student mysteriously vanished during a blizzard. Legend said the child's laughter can still be heard in the halls at night. At midnight I arrived. The building was locked up tight, but a broken second-story window gave me entry. Inside, my flashlight illuminated long empty hallways and classrooms. The air smelled stale and old, like a gym locker untouched for decades. I called out softly, "Is anyone here?" I mean no harm. Silence answered. The wallpaper was peeling, student artwork still hung on walls far too faded to make out details. I found the music room, where an organ rested in the corner. On a stool lay a sheet of music for "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." I scoffed nervously, "You better not play that on me." Then, from down the hall, I heard it, a soft, high giggle. Like a child's laughter echoing in the distance. Every hair on my arm stood up. I pointed my flashlight toward the sound, an empty hallway of blue lockers and tiled floor. I walked toward the sound. In the hallway, someone had written on the chalkboard in white chalk, "Play with me." My skin crawled. I turned around and spotted a small desk that had been moved as if pushed by little hands. Suddenly, behind me, that music box melody started on the organ, "Twinkle, Twinkle." I spun to see the organ playing itself, keys pressing down lightly as if an invisible child were at the bench. My heart pounded so loudly I thought it would burst. "All right," I said quickly, voice shaking, "I think that's enough." I backed out of the hallway, nearly tripping over a fallen binder. As I hurried out through the back exit, I thought I heard footsteps scurrying in the dark, but I didn't look back. Jumping into my car, I locked the doors. The organ's music box echo followed me out, then abruptly stopped as I drove away. That night I had nightmares of children reaching out from the shadows. I woke up to every small noise, even the faucet dripping in my bathroom sounded like giggling. I couldn't stay away for long. 3 weeks after the school, I heard about a legend at the edge of town, Mirror Lake. They said that years ago, a rowboat capsized there and a child drowned. On some nights, people claimed to hear the splash or a tiny cry out on the water. I needed to see for myself. It was pitch black when I arrived. I parked by the empty dock. A thin mist lay on the lake surface, and the water was slow. I grabbed my recorder and set it on the anchor window. Into the darkness, I said, "If anyone's out there, please make a sound." The night answered only with the soft calling of loons in the distance. Minutes passed. I was about to give up when I heard something, a faint, distant splashing, like someone swimming. My breath caught. I turned my flashlight across the water. For a second, I thought I saw a small boat drifting by itself in the fog. Then I heard it, a child's laughter, so soft I thought it might be on the wind. I swung the light toward the water. A little boy's head appeared in the beam. He was in the lake, pale and wet, looking terrified. His hand reached out toward me, pleading, but his lips didn't move. He just held out a toy. I tried to stand up, but I was frozen. Before I could do anything, the boy let out a soundless cry, then vanished under the water with a splash. The air turned icy cold. I bolted, stumbling off the pier and tripping over my feet. I fell into the grass, heart racing like crazy. When I looked up, the lake was empty again, as if nothing had happened except the echo of my own panicked breathing. Shaking, I got back in my car and locked the doors. In the rearview mirror, I watched the water, still, silent, innocent looking. That night, my hands trembled as I played back my recording, the splash, the boy's muffled gasp, and my own voice screaming into the night. I convinced myself it was a dream until I saw the ripples it left on reality. One weekend I went even further. I tackled the legend of Roaring Creek Tunnel, an old railroad tunnel through the mountains. They said, on stormy nights, you can see phantom trains and an engineer. I arrived just as lightning lit up the sky. The rain was starting to fall. I hesitated at the tunnel's mouth, heartbeat hammering, but then Sam's voice in my head told me I was being stupid and to get on with it. Inside, the tunnel was an endless dark. I shone my flashlight down the black circular tunnel and started walking slowly along the tracks. After a few dozen yards, I stopped. Up ahead, lightning illuminated a figure, a train conductor in an old uniform, standing next to the tracks, with a lantern in hand. Then the light winked out and he was gone. I swallowed hard. My recorder was in my hand. Is someone there? I called softly. The tunnel echoed my voice back at me. Then, unbelievably, a distant train whistle blew. At first I thought it was thunder. But then the whistle blew again, closer. I saw headlights down in the tunnel ahead, a train coming. But I knew no train should be there. I started to back away. The light grew larger behind me. "Welcome aboard," came a whisper right behind my ear. My EMF meter went wild. I spun around, and there he was, leaning out of that ghostly engine. His face was so white and bland, and he smiled kindly into my eyes. The train's wheels screeched like waves as if I were swimming. I bolted. I fell running, my recorder flying out of my hand. My knees scraped on the gravel. I stumbled out of the tunnel and didn't stop until I hit the roadside, panting in the rain. Later, I played back my audio. The whistle, the rings of the bell, and his voice saying, "Welcome aboard." It chilled me. I went home utterly drained, realizing some stories, like trains in darkness, were disturbingly real. Finally, 2 weeks ago I decided to up the ante even more. I went to Willow Creek Asylum, an 1800s psychiatric hospital known for cruel experiments. By midnight the place looked like a skeleton under the moonlight. I pushed open a side door and stepped inside. was still cold. Flashlight beams bounced off rusted metal beds and peeling paint. I called softly, "I mean no harm. I'm just curious." Footsteps echoed somewhere to my left. I aimed my light down the corridor to see empty walls and an operating room with old bloodstains. Fear slammed into me. I set my recorder down and started walking. The main corridor stretched before me, doors on each side. Suddenly, a rocking chair in one room began moving by itself. My EMF meter shot to red. Heart pounding, I edged closer and the chair slammed to a stop. My knees wobbled. Then, a shadow darted across the room. I spun, but nothing. A sudden crash behind me made me jump. A pile of metal tubs fell over and near my doorway. My heart was in my throat. The recorder had slipped from my hand. "Who's here?" I called. My voice quivered. From the darkness, a whisper came back. "You lied. Don't leave me." It sounded like my name, spoken in disgust. It was the same breathy woman's voice I'd heard before, pleading and accusing. I didn't wait another second. I ran. Out into the cold night, gasping for air, not stopping until I was on the highway, headlights blurring past. I never thought the danger could follow me home. But it did. Last night, I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination. I lay in bed with the lights off, the darkness I once welcomed. Then something heavy pressed down on my chest. My heart ceased. A whisper, right in my ear, "You left me." It was the same raspy voice I'd heard in the asylum. I bolted upright, gasping for air. The bedroom door creaked open slowly. In the doorway stood a pale woman in a stained hospital gown. Her eyes were dark and empty, her face exactly like mine. She pointed at me and said softly, "He promised to return." My breath caught. The word echoed with meaning. He promised to return. She nodded as if I should understand, and then she faded into the darkness as silently as she came. I screamed, stopping out of bed. I know I never mentioned it. I moved in with a friend after the cemetery incident to stay sane, burst into the room with a baseball bat. The ghost was gone. Except on my nightstand lay an old hospital ID badge with my name on it, yellowed and stained. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped it. The realization hit me, fear had been personal this whole time. I used to pride myself on bravery. I thought I could conquer any fear by facing it head on. I was wrong. Chasing ghosts made me feel alive once, but now I feel exposed and vulnerable. I learned that fear is real, not just the feeling in your gut, but something out there that can follow you home. I opened a door that could never be closed again, and something walked through. I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched. Darkness still settles around me, and I know I'm not alone. Sometimes, even now, I hear a faint whisper or see a shadow move just out of sight. I'm not sure I'll ever be the same again. I'm not telling this to scare you, well, maybe a little, but let me give you one piece of advice. If you ever find yourself alone in the dark and something answers back, you'll wish you hadn't asked. If you've made it this far, you probably have your own story, or feel like you might soon. Have you ever been alone in the dark and felt something watching you? A whisper calling your name? Share your experiences in the comments. I promise I'll read them, though I'll probably keep the lights on. And if you're into these kinds of stories, check out my profile for more of my adventures. Just remember, exploring the dark is tempting, but bring a buddy. I sure wish I had. Stay safe out there. It's 3:14 a.m. I still can't sleep. I keep hearing footsteps outside my bedroom door. The recorder on my nightstand just clicked on by itself, but the screen is blank. I'm too scared to listen right now.